by 289 votes in the race that had not been called because it was just so close.
And this was the second time that Cisneros, an immigration attorney in South Texas, has taken Cuellar to a runoff. He won by 4% of the vote back in 2020, but this time, as you just heard from Steve, it was a lot closer. Cisneros got support from progressives this time, like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, but that just wasn't enough for her to secure a win. So right now, Cuellar is going to face Republican Cassie Garcia in November.
Well, it may seem like a bad case of deja vu for some people at a well-known resort in Boerne. For the second time in recent years, fire has broken out inside a building at Tapatio Springs Hill Country Resort.
Had firefighters scrambling to the property late last night, which was once owned by country music legend George Strait. As Katrina Weber reports, the building that was destroyed this time housed a spa.
This is the calm after the firestorm that swept through a regular hotspot at Tapatio Springs Hill Country Resort. Pure Soul and its popular Sand Cave Spa went up in flames just after 9 last night. Photos from Kendall County Emergency Management show flames breaking through the roof. Fire crews stayed put all night, making sure they didn't flare up again or spread beyond that building. But for many people here, their work nearly went unnoticed.
All of a sudden, we got a text. Hey, your spa is on fire. We looked out and there was no smoke.
We didn't see anything. So what?
This couple who has lived here less than a year was anxious to see what all the fuss on their phones was about. Sadness set in, though, when they saw the damage.
I always wanted to go to the salt caves there and never got to it, so it's going to be a while.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this resort is no stranger to fire. This time it destroyed the spa. But the impact of a fire 5 years ago was even more devastating. In 2017, the clubhouse burned down, causing the resort, formerly owned by country music star George Strait, to close for about 2 years. Published reports just days ago showed the property was getting a second wind and under new management.
But I can't imagine what could set a fire off in the spa. You know, they don't do manicures, pedicures.
Finding what caused the fire now is in the hands of the Kendall County Fire Marshal. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Now, Texas's top cop is not holding back in his criticism of Uvalde CISD Police Chief Pete Arredondo today in Austin. The director of the Department of Public Safety went through an updated timeline of the shooting for a special state Senate committee today. Garrett Berger tells us more about why he called the law enforcement response, quote, an abject failure.
You know, it's not just a lifetime, it's many lifetimes, and we can't have that in a post-Columbine environment.
77 minutes after the shooter entered Robb Elementary, law enforcement breached the classrooms and took him down. But DPS Director Steve McCraw says it should have happened much sooner.
3 minutes after the subject entered the West Building, there was a sufficient number of armed officers wearing body armor to isolate, distract, and neutralize the subject.
McCraw blasted the law enforcement response led by School District Police Chief Pete Arredondo, who he says waited for radios and rifles, then shields, then SWAT. 2 of the first officers on scene actually had rifles, according to the timeline McCraw presented, but he said it shouldn't have mattered anyways.
As a commissioned officer, you don't need a rifle. You have a gun. There's a reason you have one. You have body armor. I don't care if you have flip-flops and wearing Bermuda shorts. It doesn't matter. You go in.
There was also a wait for a key to open a classroom door. However, McCraw says he has great reason to believe that door wasn't locked shut. And as with the equipment, it shouldn't have held up a breach anyways.
I know that, you know, just from my experience, hey, windows are an option.
Still, McCraw says he wants to put a go bag in every DPS patrol car that would include a ballistic shield and breaching tools. Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Even today, I'm not fully satisfied with this timeline that we've seen, and I'm not fully satisfied with snippets of audio off of body cam footage. Why can't we just peel off this Band-Aid and let the people of Uvalde really see all of the facts as they should be seen?
That is State Senator Roland Gutierrez, whose district includes Uvalde, speaking during a recess in today's hearing. In an interview with ABC News, Gutierrez said there is blame enough to go around. He called what happened in Uvalde a complete breakdown in communication between law enforcement agencies, including DPS, the Uvalde School District, and Uvalde PD. He then called out Governor Greg Abbott for not calling a special session to allow lawmakers to do something to change Texas gun laws. The state senator says the new school year begins in less than 2 months, and the legislature hasn't done anything to prevent another school massacre. The San Antonio police are looking for a suspect accused of robbing a bank in the middle of the day. It happened at an IBC bank off Southeast Military Drive near Roosevelt. That's on the south side. Police say the suspect entered that bank, allegedly handed a note to the teller and demanded money. Witnesses say she took an unknown amount of money and ran away. Police say it appears she was working alone.
The man accused of killing a 3-year-old boy back in 2017 is going to trial. Eric Trevino is now charged with capital murder. KSAT's Erica Hernandez looks at the case and also tells us what we can expect at the trial.
I didn't hurt nobody. I didn't kill no little boy, man. I didn't hurt anybody.
Eric Trevino was arrested a little over a month after he allegedly fired a shot at a car on November 5th, 2017, inside a family with 2 small children. 3-year-old Rene Blancas Jr. was hit and died days before his 4th birthday.
It's a face I don't even want to remember, but it's stuck in my head now, knowing that this monster right here is the one that shot and killed my boy.
Trevino's arrest came after police said they had strong evidence against him thanks to a tip. Trevino at the time had 5 felony warrants out for his arrest that were unrelated to the shooting, and he has since added more felonies after he and 2 other prisoners escaped the Bexar County Jail in 2018, but was caught soon after. Almost 5 years later, and the Blancas family is looking for justice. Jury selection taking place today in the 437th District Court. The prosecution is not seeking the death penalty in this case, so if Trevino is found guilty, he will automatically be sentenced to life in prison. We will take you inside the courtroom tomorrow for the latest testimony. Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
Now, switching gears, we know that you're not happy about these high gas prices, but you could get a temporary break. There is talk now in Washington about pausing the federal gas tax. President Biden doesn't know if he's going to support the idea, but he's saying he hopes to decide on that this week. So the tax is about 18 cents a gallon, but by the time the savings would be passed down to you, it would actually be more of a 15-cent break per gallon. So on average, it would save you about $2 to $3 whenever you fill up. So what do drivers think?
Yes, they should, definitely. Anything could help.
Saving us 18 cents a gallon when gas has gone up over $2 in the last year and a half, I think it's insulting to the American people.
Now, there's a downside to the gas tax holiday. The gas tax actually pays for roads and infrastructure, so suspending it, even temporarily, would mean that those projects could lose billions of dollars in funding. And even if the president does like the idea, Congress would still have to approve it.
Check out traffic on this Tuesday. We're going to go to 281 in San Pedro. We don't get to see this look very often, but it's kind of the curve right there at 281 in San Pedro. You can see traffic is very heavy, but things seem to be moving along quite smoothly at this hour. Millions of children 6 months and older are now eligible to get either the Moderna or the Pfizer COVID vaccines. Our RJ Marquez spoke to a pediatrician at UT Health and tells us more about what parents can expect and when we can start seeing doses in San Antonio.
COVID-19 vaccines for young children rolling out across the country after the FDA and CDC signed off on the safety and effectiveness of the shots.
It's an exciting time to protect the health of our child, the well-being of our family, and the protection of the community.
Children as young as 6 months to 6 years can get either the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines.
With the Moderna vaccine, you're looking at a 2-dose series. With the Pfizer, you're looking at a 3-dose series.
Dr. Mandy Svatek with UT Health San Antonio says the makeup of these vaccines is very similar to those given to older children and adults.
The consistency of what they have in the vaccines is pretty much the same as the adults as in the children. It's just the actual dosing amount that's significantly less.
Dr. Svatek said studies also showed there were no serious side effects.
The top really symptom that they're seeing a lot of in children is fever, and that's about as common as what they'll see with the adult population and the older children.
And while the vaccines cannot prevent a child from getting COVID, Dr. Svatek says it's important for parents to talk to their pediatricians about the risk and benefits of their young child getting vaccinated.
But what we're looking at is obviously decreasing the deaths and hospitalization rates for children.
And Metro Health tells us that appointments for the children's vaccine can be made today, and that mobile clinics will actually have these vaccines available tomorrow. All you got to do is go to their website for more information. RJ Marquez, KSAT 12 News.
Yeah, and we can give you some more information right now. These Metro Health pop-up clinics tomorrow are going to be at Johnston Library in the 6300 block of Sun Valley. That's from noon until 4. And then the Bogus Center in the 12,100 block of the Loop 410 frontage road. That's from 5 to 7 p.m. University Health waiting for its shipment. They're going to hold a vaccine clinic this Saturday at the Robert B. Greene campus near downtown. You can check their website for more information.
Okay, now we want to take a live look outside. You're going to check out our view from our Southside City Cam. 98 degrees right now, and you're getting this view here, but what you don't see is that there's several pop-up showers in the area. Adam, tell us more about that.
Yeah, a few little rogue, brief, and very insignificant pop-up showers. Yeah, particularly moving through parts of eastern Lavaca County. You saw a few here over the past hour and a half in Gonzales County, and even closer to Luling, a few of them popped up. Moving toward Hallettsville. Let's see if these can survive and actually make it into Hallettsville. Very skeptical if they actually will. Probably not. And even locally, we had a few pop-ups right over San Antonio and a little bit left on the far west side of town. Again, this isn't really going to add up to anything. It's just kind of a tease more than anything, but slightly better rain chances in the extended forecast with a weak cold front. We're going to talk more about when that's going to hit it, what it means for temperatures as well coming up.
It doesn't seem like the story in Uvalde is that different, that the truth can't come out.
Tonight on the Night Beat, an attorney with experience helping families in Sutherland Springs weighs in on the still developing story from Uvalde. His unique perspective on the case on the Night Beat. And a warning to parents, the life-changing moment in which one man lost his father and the message he wants families to hear before they spend their summer on the water. Plus, growing overtime costs at the Bexar County Jail, two factors affecting the need for more taxpayer money and what the sheriff says is being done to help solve the problem. It's all on the Night Beat tonight at 10.
Now new at 6, aging, of course, is inevitable, but slowing it down, that's the trick. And everything from your heart to your brain is really affected by what you put into your stomach. Ursula Perry shows us how eating certain foods may actually give you more time to live.
Everyone's looking for a way to turn back the clock when it comes to aging. New research shows changing your diet might be the key.
Mediterranean diet is a great diet with lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, all of those kinds of things.
One study found eating a Mediterranean diet may help prevent your brain from shrinking for as long as 5 years. This popular diet is also associated with a lower risk of chronic diseases and physical impairments in older age. The plan includes lots of fresh veggies, fruits, fish, nuts, olive oil, whole grains, and legumes. The Mediterranean diet discourages processed meats and saturated fats. A Harvard review found eating one serving a day of processed meat was linked to 42% higher risk of heart disease. Foods with a high glycemic index, like white bread, also can cause inflammation in the body, which is linked to the aging process. Also, steer clear of processed or fried foods. Foods fried in oil at high temperatures can release free radicals, and that causes cellular damage to your skin, and it can accelerate the aging process as well. The good news? It's never too late to toss the junk and start eating right.
Some people tell me, I'm 75, I'm 80, I haven't done these things all my life. What good is it going to do to start now? And I say, those are the people who have the most to gain.
People who eat a lot of green leafy vegetables tend to have brains that are approximately 11 years younger than those who don't. And also think blueberries. People who eat a lot of blueberries tend to have a younger brain age, and it wards off Alzheimer's too. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
Yeah, you do want to eat fresh things, especially when it's this hot outside. All right, Sky 12 right now over SeaWorld, where you see a lot of people walking around. Feel bad for them. 98 degrees, I got to say.
We had a great shot at 5 o'clock of the wave pool and all the people there.
That's where you should be.
Right, and I'm trying to figure out what this shot is. I think, okay, there we go. Now we're getting more of the actual water park at SeaWorld. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. I know there's more than just a building at Aquatica at SeaWorld.
I'm pretty sure they're all headed to see the penguins right now in the chilled penguin exhibit.
Good idea.
That's where I'd be
That is
going.
also a good idea, yes.
Especially right after you get out of the water. So you're wet, then you go into the cold environment.
Then you come back out.
And you come back out,
Yeah.
you'll be okay for maybe 5 minutes, yeah. All right, let's talk about our temperature trend here. 100 again tomorrow, 101 Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday will be about 102, but then temperatures fall off a little bit with a weak cold front, or as I often call, a not as hot front that's going to be hitting us. So today we topped out at 100 degrees, 6 degrees shy of the record, but 7 degrees above average. And for the most part, we were just right around 100, give or take a few degrees. 97 Kerrville and Fredericksburg, and a little above 100 farther south of town. We're not the only ones feeling the heat. Take a look at this map here. Big picture. Really, it's not all that different in Chicago right now than it is here in San Antonio, Texas. 98 here in town, Chicago at 97, 90 stretching all the way up into the Great Lakes region. That's a result of the heat high and a big bump in the jet stream. The jet stream going all the way up into southern Canada. Meanwhile, the converse here is in the western United States, where we have a dip in the jet stream and temperatures are actually below average. So there is some cooler than average temperatures out there. It's just in a smaller area over the Rocky Mountains in the western part of the United States. Right now we've got these patchy clouds. A few of them, very few, have grown into a brief little shower or two over the past couple of hours, but really insignificant, more of a tease than anything. 98 degrees right now, dew point is 62, so the humidity is not having a big impact on the heat index or the feels like temperature. 103 right now, Cotulla, 102 Eagle Pass, LaGrange, an even 100. You get into the hill country, Comfort 96, Los Maples 93, even Canyon Lake 94, but still hanging on to 102 in Divine and in Castroville. Tomorrow morning, we start the day in the 70s. So mid 70s in the morning. By the afternoon, back up to 100 degrees. We think officially 100 even at the airport, but obviously we'll see minor fluctuations here and there. For example, Bulverde, even Timberwood Park, about 96, 97 for the high, Kerrville 97, but a little farther south of San Antonio, maybe about 101, 102. So it's all very similar. You're not going to notice much of a difference across the area. It's just that psychological factor of hitting 100 in the triple digits. So tomorrow 100, 102 through the weekend, and then look at Monday and Tuesday, a little drop off. Down into the mid 90s, possibly even cooler than that. We'll, of course, be fine-tuning this forecast, but there is a potential that we see an even bigger drop for early next week in terms of temperatures. Here's a look at the radar over the past 2 hours locally, and if you blink, you might miss them, but look, a few brief little pop-ups pass through, moving east to west. Really, as I mentioned before, insignificant, just enough to make it damp outside very briefly, then it just evaporates right away. Heat high still centered to the east of us. It's going to be dominating our weather for several more days until it breaks down a bit and weakens and opens the door for that weak cold front as we get into the early part of next week on Monday. But the monsoonal moisture spreading up over parts of West Texas and drought-stricken New Mexico. It's nice to see those areas at least getting some rain. As for us around here, just that 10% chance this evening, and again tomorrow. We start the day at 77 by the noon hour. We're already up to 92. Then we top out at 100 for the high with that 10% chance, but up to about 30% chance early next week with that weak cold front dropping into town. This forecast is likely to change, so stay tuned for updates.
We will take 95, 94 with rain.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Just what we need. All right. So the Aggies,
Hi.
So the Aggies live to see another day at the College World Series.
Yeah, you know what is surprising? The Aggie bats have always been hot this entire season long, but it's been their pitching that has really answered the bell here during the postseason. When we come back, we'll show you how they stayed alive at the College World Series against Notre Dame. And Deshaun Watson settles a bunch of lawsuits. How many? Coming up. The fight Texas Aggies facing another elimination game as they face a Cinderella story fighting Irish of Notre Dame in the College World Series today. No score. Top of the third. The Aggies are the bases loaded. The Irish bring in their star freshman Jack Finley to get them out of a jam. And after one strikeout, the defense lets him down. Dylan Rock with a shot to the hot corner, but the throw to third from third to first hits the dirt, and they can't dig it out. 2 runs will score, including Bernie champion Jason Thompson. The Aggies have the 2-0 lead. It'll be 3-0 following a sac fly. Top of the fifth now, Trevor Werner with the whammy. The solo blast to left makes it 4-0, and the Aggies never look back. They get the win 5-1. Next up, a rematch with OU at 1 tomorrow.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Former Houston Texans, now Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has settled 20 of his 24 civil lawsuits filed against him for inappropriate sexual conduct during massages. Now, that's according to Houston attorney Tony Busby, who adds they're working on the other 4 that may go to trial. There's no word on any additional lawsuits will be filed after Busby said the 25th and 26th will be filed last week. Watson, who was traded to the Browns for 6 draft picks, has a fully guaranteed $230 million contract that includes just $1 million for the coming season. That's because the Browns fully expect Watson to be suspended by the league for at least 1 season for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. But so far, no word from the league just yet. It will be interesting to see if the Houston Texans face any repercussions from the NFL following the New York Times report that says the Texans, knowingly or not, aided Watson by providing him with access to the Houstonian where some of the massages occurred and non-disclosure agreements. San Antonio Spurs will have a New Jersey sponsor this coming season. It's Self Financial, an Austin-based company that aids consumers in establishing and building their credit. That announcement made today at the AT&T Center, replacing San Antonio-based Frost Bank that chose to put their money and their name on the Rocket Lock and Terra, the Spurs' $500 million development that will include their new training facility, along with medical and research office space and park and community space. On hand for today's announcement, Spurs Sports and Entertainment CEO R.C. Buford and Self Financial officials.
Jerseys. Values alignment is first, and I think from there it was really trying to help each other find out ways that we could improve and build our brands.
What attracted us to the Spurs is the company's values around integrity. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with, and we've also seen that customers like the Spurs a lot, so it's just been a perfect partnership. And we're really excited for the future.
The next order of business for the Spurs, business side of it, will be announcing a new naming rights sponsor for their home arena after their 20-year deal for $40 million with AT&T expired at the end of last season. That should come before this fall. Then the business side on the court, I should say, will come on Thursday when they hold the NBA draft in New York. We'll be there for that with 3 draft picks for the Spurs, live right here on KSAT 12, 3 draft picks in the first round. Mike D'Antoni expected to meet with Charlotte Hornets owner Michael Jordan about his vacant head coaching position. Remember, D'Antoni was up for the job before, and in fact was a finalist until Kenny Atkinson accepted that position, only to reverse course last Saturday, announced he was staying with the Warriors. D'Antoni has been a head coach in the NBA with the Nuggets, the Suns, the Lakers, the Knicks, and most recently Houston in the last 4 seasons. He is 672, 527 overall, but just 54 and 56 in the playoffs. That guy has been around longer than you could imagine, and not just in the NBA, over in Europe in the Italian league as well.
Absolutely. And when you said about the uniform patch, whenever you say a New Jersey patch, I'm like, why does a New Jersey company care about the Spurs?
Gotcha.
So
cleared that up.
Popped into my head.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg up next on the KSAT Q&A. Welcome back. From property tax assistance to a possible franchise, there's always something happening in San Antonio. One of the great things about the city. Good thing that Mayor Ron Nirenberg is going to join us now for our KSAT Q&A. Good to have you, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening. Good to see you all.
So I'll start with this. You want something from the governor. You and 12 other mayors in Texas want the governor to hold a special session to pass legislation on gun reform and mental health. Now, the mayor has been reticent to do that. You're not the first one who's asked the governor to do that. What else are you going to do to pressure him?
You know, this is significant, I believe, when you have a group of some of the largest cities in Texas, 13 mayors that represent Republicans and Democrats coming together to find common ground on a very difficult issue. It shows that change is possible and that we don't have to wait for another mass shooting in our cities. So we've asked him to call a special session, which is within his power to do, so that we can see reform put in place before the next school year. And that's the only reason, that's the only way it can happen, is if a special session is called. In addition to that, we also outlined some very reasonable demands for reform. That includes significantly increasing resources to mental health, which have been identified as a priority, as well as school safety. But importantly, not neglecting the real roots of these issues and the fact that guns are increasingly prevalent and available to folks who are dangerous to society. So we've asked for universal background checks. We've asked for red flag laws. We've also asked for the minimum age to purchase an assault weapon to increase to the same as a handgun, which is 21. So these are all areas that are reasonable reforms for guns in our communities that Republicans and Democrats from the major cities in Texas have come together to articulate to the governor. And so today starts a significant process with the committees that he's called together, but we need more than talk. We need real action.
All right, so you sent the letter today. When are you hoping to hear back?
That's right. Well, we're hoping to hear back in the form of, again, real legislation put forward that can only be accomplished and put into law through a special session. So we hope that the governor acts on that. And again, the calls are coming from Texas cities, Republicans and Democrats, from his own legislature, from the families in Uvalde. So this is a pretty universal call at this point.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I want to point out that, yeah, there's committees, there's hearings that are going on, but these legislative committees cannot do anything without a special session. So that's why the call for the special session. If it doesn't happen, which, you know, the governor has seemed reticent about making this happen, is there anything the mayors can do about gun reform and mental health?
You know, we are working feverishly to increase mental health funding at the local level, and we will do that, and we have done that. But the real work to be done on gun reform happens at the state and federal level, and we see that there's actual action taking place at the federal level now. You know, but Texas in the previous several sessions have passed legislation that not only makes it doesn't improve things, it actually makes it worse. Gives more access to dangerous weapons on the part of dangerous individuals. And so we're asking for reconsideration of those things, you know, permitless carry. The fact that, you know, you can walk into virtually any school building with a gun at this point is a product of Texas legislators over the last several sessions making it easier for people to handle dangerous firearms. So it needs action, and we're asking for it just like every other constituent in this state. If action doesn't happen, unfortunately, we know where we will be, you know, at some point in the future, and that is mourning more of our Texans unnecessarily killed in another shooting.
Well, I want to talk to you, too, about, you know, we talked on the air the day of the shooting about how does San Antonio wrap its arms around Uvalde. Fundraising is a way to make that happen, to give money to different causes. San Antonio leaders have stepped up. Talk a little bit more about that.
That's right. Well, certainly from every corner of this community, folks have stepped up. You know, we've had businesses go over there and take shifts so that they can relieve some of the local workers in that area. We know our nonprofits are actively on the scene helping with grief counseling and things like that. Mayor Cisneros, former Mayor Cisneros, and I went to Uvalde today to deliver some of the fundraising checks that we had received from businesses and individuals, about $450,000 to help with the immediate needs of families who are affected by the violence there. So it has been an outpouring of support from our community, fundraising included. And you know, if you go to Uvalde, you get the sense that you are still in a San Antonio neighborhood. And that is because, just like you said from the very beginning, Steve, people are wrapping their arms around our neighbors, our brothers and sisters in Uvalde, and we need to continue to do that, because at some point this national focus that's on Uvalde, which results in, you know, thousands of people there trying to help, at some point people are going to leave, and, you know, Uvalde is still going to be left in the middle of trying to stand back up on their feet. It's going to be a long time to deal with the trauma and the grief and the recovery from it. And so we need to be mindful of that. They are our neighbors, and we need to continue to help them in any way that they need.
All right, now let's switch gears and talk about property taxes. We know that City Council increased the homestead exemption for city property taxes. What do you want people to know about that?
So City Council in the last meeting passed significant property tax reform that hopefully will be at least one portion of help for folks who are struggling with property taxes. And again, City Council or the city is 1/5 of your property tax bill that is a function of the tax rate and exemptions along with the actual assessed property value of your home, which is done by a different agency. So City Council approved an increase in the homestead exemption to 10%. of the property value. We also increased the senior exemption from $65,000 to $85,000. We increased the disabled exemption from $12,500 to $85,000. And then as soon as we get the final values back, after all of the appeals take place, we will be dropping the property tax rate as well. So it's a comprehensive suite of property tax reforms meant to ease the burden on homeowners and renters all across this community. We've done our part, and we will continue to do that. And we're calling on other taxing jurisdictions also to help out. And I've seen a number of them have already stepped up to do that.
Mr. Mayor, always appreciate your time. And it seems like I always have something on my list that we don't get to. So I'll have to wait till next week to get to that. So appreciate your time today.
Thank you. And y'all have a great evening.
Thank you. And we'll be right back after this. So now we're talking about another round of layoffs circling at Netflix. According to Variety, those cuts are going to be similar to those that we saw in May when the streaming giant laid off 150 employees and dozens of contract and part-time workers. Now, it's unclear at this point exactly which departments are going to be hit, but Variety is reporting that the staff that's impacted by this are expected to be notified in the coming days.
Yeah, Netflix has been looking to cut costs amid stock troubles. The once seemingly unstoppable juggernaut of the streaming world has lost nearly 70% of its value in the past few months. That was after revealing that nearly 200,000 subscribers have dropped Netflix.
All right, here's a live look here over 410 near the airport, 97 degrees. It looks nice over there. And we were talking about pop-up showers just a little while ago.
Yeah, and around town they've all petered out and there's really nothing left. But there are a few left over on the radar screen. One near Charlotte and Atascosa County, and the other just south of Hallettsville. Otherwise, partly cloudy. 98 officially at the airport right now. By 8 o'clock, 94. 10 o'clock. Still near 90 degrees at midnight in the lower 80s. There's that 10% chance through about 8 p.m. because of a few of those highly isolated and really insignificant pop-up showers. But there is the hope for some better rain chances in the extended forecast. And we're going to talk about that with the arrival of a weak cold front, or just a boundary, a wind shift line. More on that when it gets here, and rain chances in a bit.
All right, so he's just back from vacation. He went north where I'm sure it was much colder, much cooler, crisp, maybe?
No. And actually, I was at a weather conference. That's where I was all last week. The annual American Meteorological Society's gathering of broadcast meteorologists and even non-broadcast meteorologists. You're getting me down a rabbit hole right now. I was about to start talking about all the good stuff.
Well, I just wanted to know what the temperature was in Milwaukee when you were there.
Back to that point. It was 100 degrees.
Okay.
Actually, the heat index of 107 was higher than it was here in San Antonio. So
it was warmer in Milwaukee.
For a few days it was.
In San Antonio. Crazy.
Yep. The irony. We didn't get the good breeze off Lake Michigan. Triple digits through the weekend. Then a weak cool front, or as I like to call it, a not as hot front, is going to hit us on Monday. That's what we're expecting. So it will drop temperatures a little bit and gives us a glimmer of hope for some rain. It's still pretty far away in the forecast. I mean, this cold front hasn't even developed in southern Canada yet, and we're trying to figure out what it's going to do. But this is what we're anticipating right now. At or just above 100 tomorrow through Sunday. Then Monday, we could dip back down into the mid-90s for a high temperature. In Tuesday, about 94 for the high. So there is that downward trend that we're expecting, though I do think the specifics and the exact timing will be changing between now and then. But we are anticipating a bit of a temperature drop, could be more significant than what I showed you there. Just something to check back in on as the days go by. So here's the radar over the past 2 hours. It's hard to see much out there, but we did have a few showers locally on the south side of town, and now just south of Hallettsville. This downpour, still a little bit of life left in it, but not a whole lot. They've been pretty brief and been fizzling out pretty quickly. Just south and west of Charlotte, this is Atascosa County, southwestern Atascosa County, one little pop-up. This is that 10% we've been talking about. Locally, there could be one or two drops out there from some of those clouds, especially on the south side, and we did have a brief downpour even hit parts of downtown and the south side of San Antonio, but really insignificant and unfortunately more of a tease than anything. And then everything clears up and dries out pretty quickly. But I guess it's better than nothing. The heat high, it's part parked just off to the east of us. Pretty strong heat high. And of course, we've been so dry and we're in such a deep drought. Soil moisture's down. That adds to our little heat wave we've been experiencing. So triple digit heat, partially because our soil is just so dry combined with higher pressure. But we do have the monsoonal moisture at least impacting parts of drought-stricken New Mexico and even far west Texas. So somebody has some showers out there, somebody who needs it at least. Early next week, okay, this is Monday, right? Early next week, that boundary moves in, and I do think it increases our chances of a few showers and thunderstorms to pop up. Not expecting anything too widespread at the moment, mainly isolated, but at least there's something to watch and something to focus on where we could be massaging the forecast and fine-tuning it for early part of next week, Monday and especially into Tuesday. Currently, it's at 20 to 30%. However, that comes with the caveat that, of course, it will be changing and we'll probably be modifying this forecast with the potential of maybe raising those chances a bit more, so slightly better coverage of the rain. That's our only glimmer of hope, at least for the foreseeable future. Here's the big picture in terms of temperatures. Look at Amarillo at 81. Even Albuquerque, 75. Clouds, showers, and even a cold front impacting temperatures. So 80s and 70s on the cool side of that front as you get up the plains and into the Intermountain West. Around here, that front's not going to be affecting us. Still 103 in Cotulla, 98 in Gonzales, 96 in Bandera, 97 now in Bulverde. You know the drill. It's more of the same. We've been experiencing this trend basically since early mid-May. Tomorrow morning, 77 at 7 a.m. By the noon hour, we make it up to 92 degrees and sunny, and then just the patchy fair weather clouds with a few of them dropping some insignificant rain here and there tomorrow afternoon. But we could have some actual beneficial showers Monday and Tuesday with the lower temperatures. I hate calling it cooler, just lower temperatures.
Yeah.
Mid-90s.
Less hot.
Less hot.
There you go. In case you missed it, coming up next. And here's today's In Case You Missed It.
It is Tuesday, June 21st.
And we begin with late breaking news from the Texas Democratic Party regarding the hotly contested race for the U.S. District 28 Democratic spot on the November ballot between incumbent Henry Cuellar and his challenger Jessica Cisneros. Almost 1 month after the primary runoff, Cuellar has been declared the winner following a recount. The 9-term congressman winning by 289 votes in the race that had not been called because it was just so close.
A man accused of the murder of a Trinity University cheerleader in 2017 will go back to court after all. Mark Howerton's original murder trial ended in a mistrial in 2019, but recently the Fourth Court of Appeals ruled that the case will now go to retrial, denying a defense request that warned another trial would constitute double jeopardy. 19-year-old Kaylee Mendotti was allegedly kidnapped, raped, and murdered while the two were on a trip to Houston. Initially, Howerton claimed Mendotti stopped breathing while they were having consensual sex. Her death later determined to be the result of blunt force trauma to the head. A date for the new trial has not yet been set.
If you can't decide between boating or chilling out in a hot tub, you can do it at the same time now. So introducing the Spa Cruisy, a spa on a boat that comes with a little fireplace and a ladder. If you've never even driven a boat, you're an expert after the first 30 seconds of driving the Spa Cruisy.
Wow.
So they're both being sold and rented and customized for personal owners.
Americans love ice cream and donuts, right?
True.
Yeah. So Krispy Kreme is hoping to cash in on that with Krispy Kreme ice cream. It's called Original Glazed Soft Serve Ice Cream. It's made with whole milk, and it has the same secret ingredients that the donuts do. So sugar, lots of sugar.
I'm dubious. I'm donut dubious.
Okay.
You can eat it straight up in a cup or ask for it in a cone or a milkshake. Now, if you're feeling really indulgent, there are a variety of toppings to choose from, like dehydrated glazed donuts, the ice cream in a few locations for now, then it will roll out like donuts do to the rest of the country.
You know what? At that point, I would just get the works.
If I want a donut, why don't I just get a donut?
Amen.
Am I right, Kasky?
Yeah, you are right. That's what I was thinking. Or put the ice cream on one of the hot donuts. There you go.
That sounds really good. Yes, yes.
My job is done here. All right. Right near 100.
Donuts a la mode.
Donuts a la mode. Or how about instead of jelly filled, ice cream filled? How would that fry?
Very messy. Sounds very messy.
Hey, not as hot early next week. Mid-90s. We'll stay tuned for updates.
So we're out of time for donut talk?
Unfortunately.
Okay. See you on the night feed at 10.